Book Summary: Poppy's Choice by Dilly Court, The Rockwood Chronicles, Book 8, Part 1, Secrets Enigmatic, set in early 20th century England. Poppy's Choice opens in London, where Poppy Robbins, a determined young woman in her mid-20s, works as a milliner's assistant. She's intelligent, hard-working, and devoted to her younger brother, Freddie, and ailing mother, Maud, who is confined to bed due to a long-term illness. Life has not been easy for the Robbins family since the death of Poppy's father, once a respected solicitor who fell into disgrace before his death. Poppy shoulders the burden of keeping her family afloat while desperately trying to shield them from the stain of past scandal. But when an anonymous letter arrives, hinting at dark secrets in her father's past, including accusations of fraud and betrayal, Poppy's fragile world is shaken. The letter demands money, threatening exposure if she refuses. Terrified and uncertain whom to trust, Poppy seeks help. Part 2. The stranger's oath of her enter Edward Taverner, a brooding, enigmatic figure who appears at the millinery shop under the guise of a client. Poppy soon learns that Edward is no ordinary man, a landowner with a troubled past. He is both aloof and compelling. Upon learning of Poppy's predicament through mutual acquaintances, Edward offers her an audacious proposition. She will pose as his fiancée and accompany him to his crumbling country estate, Taverner House in Sussex. In exchange, he promises her protection and assistance in tracing the blackmailer. The engagement is to be purely a social pretense, a ruse to silence Edward's interfering relatives and community gossip who suspect his involvement in past misdeeds. Though deeply reluctant, Poppy is out of options and agrees, on the condition that she may bring her younger brother Freddie with her for the summer. Part 3. The mansion of Edward. Arriving at Taverner House, Poppy is struck by the contrast between the grandeur it must have once held and its current state of decay. The house is vast, threadbare, and almost abandoned. The staff consists of only a few loyal but disgruntled servants, including the stern housekeeper, Mrs. Chudley, and the surly stableman Barnes. The locals treat Edward with suspicion and whisper about his reclusive nature and a past tragedy involving his younger brother. Poppy finds herself isolated and unwelcome, particularly by Edward's cousin, Letitia, a calculating woman who suspects Poppy of being a gold digger. Even Edward is distant, lost in his own demons, though he honors his word by making inquiries into the blackmail and offering discreet support. Despite the pretended engagement, there are moments when their defenses fall. Poppy sees glimpses of warmth beneath Edward's cool exterior, a man racked by guilt and loneliness, especially over the mysterious death of his brother Henry years earlier. The villagers believe Edward had a hand in it. Poppy begins to wonder, what is Edward hiding? Part 4. Friendships and foes. As the weeks pass, Poppy forms a surprising friendship with Lily, a bright village girl who works at the nearby rectory and dreams of becoming a teacher. Through Lily and the kindly vicar's wife, Poppy gains a deeper understanding of the social tensions in the area and the simmering class divisions. She also starts a small sewing circle for local women, earning the respect of the working-class community. Freddie, meanwhile, flourishes in the countryside, befriending stable animals and even gaining informal tutoring from Edward. The unlikely bond forming between Edward and Freddie begins to soften Poppy's reservations, yet danger remains close. The blackmailer strikes again, this time with a chilling ultimatum. Poppy learns that the truth behind her father's disgrace may be tied to a scandalous land deal involving Taverner House. Could Edward's family have played a role? And what really happened to Henry? Part 5. Truth or reality. Digging into the manor's records, Poppy uncovers a series of letters that suggest her father and Edward's late father were entangled in a business scheme that went terribly wrong, resulting in financial ruin for several families, including the Robbins. Poppy's father took the fall, but the scheme was orchestrated by Sir Almeric Taverner. Edward's father, haunted by this revelation and fearing her family's disgrace will now taint Edward, Poppy prepares to leave. But Edward stops her, confessing that he already suspected his father's guilt and has spent years trying to atone. He also shares the truth about his brother Henry's death. It was a tragic accident during a hunting party, covered up to avoid a scandal, and Edward's silence has cost him everything, including the love of his community. At the same time, the identity of the blackmailer is exposed. Letitia will hope to force Poppy away and gain control of Taverner House herself. With help from Lily and the loyal Mrs. Chudley, Poppy confronts Letitia, who is disgraced and disinherited after Edward threatens legal action. Part 6. A new Biagi with the past finally exorcised. Edward proposes a real engagement, not out of obligation but love. Poppy, no longer the frightened woman hiding in borrowed respectability, has become stronger, wiser, and more confident in her own worth. Freddie is enrolled in a proper school with Edward's patronage, and Maud, recovering in the countryside air, finds peace at last. Poppy decides to remain at Taverner House not just as its mistress, but as a reformer, turning the estate into a school for girls with Lily as its first teacher. The novel ends with the couple walking through the overgrown gardens of Taverner House, now blossoming once more. The shadows of the past have lifted, and in their place is hope, redemption, and love hard-won. Themes and motifs: redemption and justice. Both Edward and Poppy must face the sins of their fathers, but choose to break the cycle and make amends. Feminine agency. Poppy is no passive heroine. Her choices drive the narrative, and her voice grows stronger as the novel progresses. Class and reputation. Dilly Court explores the constraints of class, the dangers of social stigma, and how reputations can both protect and destroy. Found family. The bond between Poppy, Freddie, Edward, and even Lily reflects the theme of finding family beyond blood ties. Conclusion: Poppy's Choice is a beautifully layered historical romance filled with suspense, emotional depth, and rich period detail. Dilly Court delivers another unforgettable entry in the Rockwood Chronicles, weaving together a gripping narrative of secrets, courage, and enduring love. Fans of her earlier work will delight in seeing familiar faces, while newcomers will be swept away by Poppy's indomitable spirit and the moody charm of Edward Taverner.